way to Coalinga for the California State Long Range Championship. Just hit the Oregon-California border here. As you can see, just beautiful. Little dusting of snow. Nothing on the road, but it's always really nice coming through this area. I'm curious to see what Shasta looks like now. Look at that. That is perfect amount of snow. A lot different than where we're headed for the match. So that is Lake Shasta. Yes, the brown stuff. There's some blue stuff out there somewhere. But right now, from what I'm just reading, it's somewhere around 24% capacity. I'm struggling to find you any water. In fact, I missed the normal bridge video simply because I couldn't even see that we were coming close to the lake. We got another view coming up here. And you know, that's, yeah, we're gonna cross over the big bridge here. We'll see what the river looks like. Well, it's a river now. Doesn't really look like a lake. So there is water in there. I guess it's a little lakeish. That's pretty low. Definitely lower than when we came through last year. And here we are in Coalinga. This is our Airbnb. Say hi for the camera, Jay.
How's it going, everybody?
So he's getting ready, pushing some bullets for tomorrow. Nice little Airbnb. Definitely better than being in a hotel, as I always say. Decent little 2-bedroom unit, just what we needed. And a really nice bathroom. So anyway, we're gonna settle in, go get some dinner. Tomorrow we got a club match. That's a 2x20 with unlimited ciders. Kind of break in the guns, see how they shoot here, do any tuning that needs to be done. And then we'll head out to, well, then Saturday it's the state championship. So, all right, we'll see you there. All right, we got the sun coming up over the jack pumps out here in Coalinga. It's really cool out here. I know I did a video last year, but this place was so great. I just had to come back again this year, despite the fact that I said I probably wouldn't. There's the firing line. You can see the 1,000-yard targets way back there. Flags are moving just a little bit. I don't think we're gonna have any crazy wind, but this is just the club match today. It's a 2x20. Be a good time to kind of test out the gun, see how it shoots here. Maybe do a little tuning if I have to. And we'll see how it goes. Okay, we're out here on the firing line. You can see behind me here, that's gonna be the 1,000-yard line. You can see we've already got flags up. And this is really a great range. I mean, they've done a lot of improvements over the last few years from what they've told me. This whole cover is recent within the last X amount of years. The sand is a little deep. I'm not gonna lie, it gets a little sinky. So you have to be careful with your front rest. But otherwise, it's just an amazing, amazing range to shoot at. Really love it. Glad to be here. First day, this is the club championship. It's just a 2 relay match. You know, some guys shoot it for fun, some guys shoot it to test. You know, I felt like my guns were shooting pretty good, so I wanted to, you know, shoot some real relays here and felt really good about it. You know, just knocked it out of the park and then dropped number 20. This one here, you know, my shaky hands got the better of me and I hit the joystick as I was pulling the trigger and, you know, instantly turned around to my scorekeeper and said, well, that's going to be a 9. And sure enough, it printed just outside the 10 ring. So, you know, that's the way it goes. But overall, shot great. Barely had to move, just basically center hold to kind of just right to, which would be right at the 10 ring. So not a lot of movement in the morning and just a good way to get started. Match 2 of the club match. And this one, I mean, you can see here, I was really struggling. The winds had definitely changed. They were kind of all over the place, and I really had trouble getting centered up on this one. Gun was shooting pretty flat. I mean, these are all like, you know, lost shots mostly out the sides. And I just couldn't get on it. I was really having trouble. You can see I took 16 ciders. Finally got a couple in a row where I felt like the winds were holding and I went for it. Missed a few calls. You can see here I dropped 4 points, and it's just the way it goes. But still felt pretty good. I mean, I think everybody was kind of struggling on this relay, and it definitely was not an easy relay. Um, there's plenty of relays where we say, oh, that was totally cleanable. Sure, of course, this one was cleanable, but it was not an easy clean, and I struggled with it. So finished up with a 395.17 on the day. Low X count on this one for drop 4 points. Like, I mean, by all accounts, this is pretty ugly. It shouldn't have taken me this many ciders. I really struggled, and sometimes just the way it goes. But let's see how it stacks up for the club match here. These are the results for the club match, and despite having some trouble on that second relay, finished first place. So won the match. It felt pretty good. I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of these guys that aren't really trying. They're maybe pulling out a couple different guns. They're trying different loads. But just for myself, I was really happy with how the gun shot. Really happy with how how everything was handling, and felt like at least I had a lot of confidence going into the next day with how I was reading things on the range. So just a good start to Friday. A lot of fun with the guys out there just to see everybody, and we'll see how the match goes the next day here. Beautiful sunrise heading to the range this morning. Oh, and a tank. But there's the sunrise again. Yeah, it's just absolutely beautiful out here. Really flat land, so these sunrises just paint the sky out here. So it's about 7 o'clock. We'll start getting our squatting in about half an hour, and with any luck, we'll start shooting at 8 o'clock. Yesterday went pretty well. Just getting a feel for the range again. It's only my second time here, but overall did pretty well. Felt good about it, and just had some fun. So we'll see what today turns out. First match of the California State Championship, and to be fair, not really how I wanted to start. The conditions were not bad enough that it should have warranted me throwing shots like I did. You can see I lost a kind of a low left 9 here, a left 9, a left 9, and a high 9. I I don't know what happened. I just made some bad calls. Something obviously I wasn't seeing was causing these downwind. Three of the four were basically downwind 9s because I was holding off to the right on all these, and just clearly wasn't seeing it right. What's really interesting though is, and I see this a lot just with other people when I score, but it's really not uncommon to see an X turn into a 9. So you see X9, X9. Obviously, this is a 10-9, but even with some of my friends that were out there, they'd be shooting X's and then boom, they'd pop a 9. And sometimes that just happens. You get kind of greedy, you get confident, you kind of lose focus for a second because you think that the next shot's going to go where the last two went. Maybe you tell yourself, well, the condition isn't changing enough to warrant that much of a hold. And I know I was making changes between here. It just obviously wasn't enough to catch this. And then the next shot was a good wind hold. You can see it was a high 9 by that little black dot where my scorekeeper put a dot. But something happened where I threw it a little high. So it happens. Started off with a 197.7. Not the best way to start, but it certainly could have been worse. You'll see here as we get into the scorecard, what we thought was a 197. I kind of rushed, and the way he was holding it when I looked at it, that 9 was obscured right here a little bit. And so what really was, I went back and I was actually looking at my pictures after the match, and I went back to the scorekeeper and said, look, there was a mistake. There was actually 4 9s, and we did correct it to a 196.7. So that, like it's the right thing to do, obviously. But then I was like, wow, man, that's like that hurts even more because I wasn't happy with the three. And then to realize that it was actually a fourth, certainly not fun. But, you know, uh, you just do what you do. Second relay, struggled again with the ciders. Like you'll notice a trend here. Lots of ciders, lots of ciders. This range was a struggle for me to get my ciders confident. I would take a couple. I think I was on them. You can see here 10 9, X 10 10 9, 10 9 9. Like it just wasn't feeling good. And finally got to a point where I felt like we were pretty good. Went for record, ended up dropping three on this one. And you can see I had a little bit of elevation problems, and I was really missing this whippy tailwind that would come in, and I was having, I'd get the windage good, but I wouldn't be taking into account these elevation shots. And in all fairness, I was shooting some different boxes of ammo through these, and it could have been a combination of this weird little tailwind that was hitting some people, and or this particular box of ammo that I was shooting just wasn't quite as tight. There's any number of things that could have been happening, but I did my best with it. Pulled out a 197.10. Still felt okay. Like I know everybody was dropping points. I think across this whole thing there was only maybe a couple cleans. So 197 still wasn't horrible. Certainly, felt like I was capable of more on this particular relay at least. Match three, and the wheels are going to come off the car on this one. So let's look at this, and I'll show you what happened. First off, I will tell you that the conditions were tough, but the conditions were not 9 points tough. So this was purely on me for a couple of reasons. You can see my ciders. I struggled like X9, X9, and then it started building, and I just was really struggling to keep up with it. I shot a 7, an 8, and these were some changing conditions. So some of this is me testing it out and just not having a good read on it. Then it finally kind of sunk into a right to left, which is really what I wanted to shoot in. And I felt confident enough in these tens, even though I'd prefer to have some X's in my ciders before I go for record. It was at least close enough with the conditions that I felt like I was good. And then, of course, I go one on with a nine, which is, an awesome way to start. And I chased through a couple, which, was really admittedly dumb. And then I kind of sat on the gun because the conditions started changing. I started going to a left to right, and the left to right was horrible here. Really inconsistent, harder to read. Um, kind of some false readings in some cases, and could really burn you if you weren't careful. A few of these ciders had been in the left or right, so I felt like, okay, if I had to buy in, at least I had some idea where to go. And I just waited and waited and waited, and I'm seeing everybody. This is where I fell into a bit of a trap because I'm watching targets down the line, and guys are just nailing tens and X's. And I'm not doing any shooting at this point, and I'm thinking, well, I'm really missing out at this point. The condition must be settled in. It must be better than I'm thinking it is. So then, somewhere around this 10 or 9, I bought in on the left or right, which is not what my plan was. And then it got away from me, and I just couldn't get ahead of it with this left or right. And instead of stopping, like after a couple of these nines, I should have just stopped and said, okay, we're just gonna wait for that right to left. I got in a really bad headspace, and I just told myself I'm gonna chase this one out. Like I think it's built as much as it's going to, and I can kind of sit in on this one. And shot 10, 10x, felt confident, came back in, and then it was just like every once in a while I would just misread it and bang out a nine and a nine and a nine. And by the end of it, I had sort of given up on myself at this point, and it really hurt because I just wasn't playing my game on it, and it cost me 9 points. I knew that nobody else was, even remotely going to be losing that many points because of how everybody was shooting, and I was just had the wrong things in my head, and that just absolutely killed me for the way to end the day. Like just horrible. So I finished 16 points down. Horrible X count on this last one. I mean, just couldn't even remotely find center. And this was just a really, I'm not going to lie, it was a bad way to end the day. Felt like a failure, mad at myself. got in a really, like bad headspace after this, and talked to some friends later in the evening. Um, yeah, let me show you how the day ended up at least. And you can see here, this is the end of day one. I'm down here, 16 down. Ted was shooting great down here. He's a master. He's ahead of me. A lot of bigger scores above me, and I know, like Eric always says, don't look at scores. It's really hard for me not to. And like this is a lot of points to have to make up on only two relays the next day. Like especially if conditions are pretty mild. I'm what 12 points off of first, and realistically 7 points off of a third high master, fourth place finish, or it could be even worse depending on how some of the masters and experts shoot, because there were a couple really good shooters down here. So not a great not a great way to end the first day, and it certainly didn't put me in any position even remotely be near the top. I wasn't really in a good headspace after this, and it's disappointing. We spent a lot of money to go down. I put a lot of pressure on myself. There's a lot of things that happen, and just talked with a couple of my friends, and felt better by the end of the night, and just said, well, all I can do is go into Sunday the best I can do, and that's it. So let's see how Sunday shakes out. It's Sunday, last day of the California State Championship. Yesterday could have gone better, but these things happen. All you can do is forget yesterday, get your stuff on the line, do the best you can today. Conditions look pretty mild, definitely not a lot of movement out there. Not expecting a big change today, but it's just a gorgeous range and time to have some fun. Sunday morning, first match. Conditions were really mild. I know you can't really tell based on this, but it was definitely mild. And again, this range just had me shooting a stupid amount of ciders for some reason. Um, I don't know how to explain it. And I wasn't the only one. I mean, my buddy that I traveled with, he shot more ciders than he normally shoots. A lot of guys shoot more ciders. Normally 4 or 5 ciders and I'm good. I don't think I had anything under 10 ciders the entire match. But anyway, you can see once I was feeling good about it, jumped in, shot clean on the first 10, dropped one here, shot a 199.9. And, this made me feel really good. This kind of said, look, you know, stop having a pity party. Just get out there and do your thing. All you can do is shoot your game, and that's what I did. So felt really good about this. I said, well, you know what? If I can't win the whole match, which to be realistic, no matter how well I shot, that wasn't going to happen. Um, if I can't win the whole match, I could at least, do my best on the day. So there's match one. Now we went into the pits for a couple of pulls. We actually end up, because we shot first, we shoot very last on Sunday. So the conditions, were expected to get a little worse. Obviously, being first, it's a lot better. But let's see how that shakes out here.
What are they looking at? The tarantula on the field. It was mostly elevated.
When I got to the pits, this is my target from that 199.9 that I shot, and I just thought I would show you, what it looks like to shoot a group like that. You can see this shot that's just outside the 10 ring. That was my 9 that I dropped. There's an upper 9 that was one of my ciders, but really happy with how this water line looks. You can see almost all the shots are within the X ring vertical, couple below, couple above, but overall, really, really tight, and definitely what I would want to see in a gun that I'm shooting at 1,000 yards with. Came out of the pits, had to score for somebody ahead of me, and then we shot the last relay. Now, it turns out that I finally only took 6 ciders. This was feeling much better. I really, it's sad it took so long, but I really started to get a good feel for the range, and finally, started shooting some good ciders, jumped in, dropped 2 points. It happens. It's okay. But, respectable X count. And, overall in the day, I only dropped 3, and it felt really good. So, um, I was really happy. Almost a 50% X count and a pretty decent score. Let me show you how this shakes out for both the day and then ultimately for the California State Championship. And this felt pretty good. Back up at the top with a 397.17. Now you'll notice it says first. That does not mean that I was the match winner. In fact, this guy Francis won the match, beat me by a point and an X. He shot amazing. And this guy, I think Nationals a few weeks ago was the first big match he had ever gone to, if I remember right. Pretty brand new to F class, has some really nice gear. Obviously, he's got some pretty good skills already. Works with some people down in San Diego that I'm friends with and has really brought his skills up and just shot amazing. I think he shot one of only two cleans all weekend for the Open guys. Maybe there's three, I don't remember exactly, but one of the only cleans, which is really quite the skill. So congratulations to Francis for winning the day. And then I basically took second on the day, which felt great after my disappointing Saturday. These are the final scores for the California State Championship. Congrats to my friend Ted for winning it 2 years in a row now. Just an absolute machine. Uh, I'll show you a picture of him in a minute, and I'll talk about him. But Damon, another good friend of mine, did fantastic. This, I believe, was the same lineup as last year with Ted winning and Damon in second. Both of these guys are just amazing competitors, really good set of skills, and really deserve to be at the top. Very consistent shooting and just amazing guys. Uh, my buddy Jason came in fourth place. And then right here, you see that technically it looks like I would be in sixth place. But the reality is, if you look down here in the Masters, Ted Montano here, he shot really, really well. Super nice guy. We went with him and a couple of buddies and hung out with dinner, and he shot just amazingly well and actually whooped me, pushing me to seventh overall. And congrats to him. Francis down here that won the day for Sunday did really well, just a couple points back, and and it was just a really, 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 really good day. Um, really, really good day. So I'm happy for everybody involved, and it just I don't know. It was just a really good trip at the end of the day. Ups and downs like every match, but the friends are amazing, and just couldn't ask for a better time. All right, let me talk about a couple people here. The first one is on the left. That's my buddy Ted, who won it second year in a row. Just an absolutely phenomenal guy all around. There is nobody that I have ever met that will prop you up, push you up, make you feel good, make you love life the way this guy does. Just an amazing guy. On the right is Bob Gill. Now, he's the match director, an incredible sling shooter in his own right. I got to score for him, and I have to tell you, it's just absolutely incredible watching this guy shoot. The amount of control he exhibits. He obviously knows this range; it's his home range, and the subtle little cues that he watches for, and the way he shoots, just insane. I think one of the scores I recorded for him was like a 217. He ended up winning the sling division, but just a really great shooter. And on top of that, he put on what honestly is one of the best matches I've ever been to. Even last year, I had a few problems with last year and didn't feel like necessarily um, like I was happy with a couple things. But I will tell you that Bob absolutely made this match something that I would want to attend every year. He, made everybody feel welcome, and he's professional. He doesn't have any bias. He just wants to run the line, run the match according to the rules, and he's sort of like I liken him to you can have a couple different kinds of teachers. You can have that teacher where on the first day you think, oh, this person's cool, they're with it, but by the end of it, Maybe at the end of the semester you realize they really didn't know that much, and really didn't help you grow as a person. Bob is more like that teacher that when you show up the first day, you think, oh my gosh, this is going to be the worst class ever, and I'm going to hate this. But the reality is, the guy has so much shooting knowledge and history within himself, and he does want to share, and he does want to make the match run the way that a match should be run. And I can't say enough about Bob and the match that he runs. They put on a phenomenal barbecue. They had just giant. I mean, it isn't like they just brought in some local whatever to serve food. They actually brought out smokers. They made tri-tip, just massive portions, handmade potato salad, really awesome green salad, just really, really great match all the way around. He's efficient at the end of the match. 30 minutes, boom, awards were done. He's so professional, and I just really appreciate everything Bob does. So, big shout out to Bob and the Coalinga Gun Club down there for hosting what was just a really great match. Well, had to take off right after the awards, and about an hour north of Coalinga, had to stop at In and Out. It's sort of a tradition now. We don't really have too many around me, but picked up a double double, some fries and a shake, and spent another 11 hours driving home. Let me leave you with one final thing. I get asked a lot, what kind of money is in shooting F Open? I'm going to tell you honestly, not a lot. This is one of the better paying out matches for the size that it was. I was actually really happy with this payout. Bob pretty much puts all the money back into the competitors. You can see for that Friday club match that I won, I got $34, and for the day two, finishing second place, I got 15. That's I'll be honest, that's a pretty good payout for me. So, most matches pay out, I don't know, similar, but maybe higher entry fees or something. So anyway, there is not a lot of money in shooting F class. So you do it for the people, you do it for the fun. I would love to see F class get the kind of money that something like PRS gets, but I honestly don't think it's going to get there. And I don't think most F class people really do either. So, we go out there, we do what we do because we love it. And, if we win some money along the way, so be it. Anyway, appreciate you guys watching. You guys have a good one. We'll talk later.